Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. We have come up with a build that not only looks so damn spicy that it's going to make your mom question what game you're playing, but it is also viable for hunting at high levels of master rank. This is the Exhaustion Switch Axe build. Now, if you've never played with an exhaustion build before, it's not that surprising because we all like going for max deeps, but this is something that's a little bit different, and I think you guys are going to like what you see. Now, as for pulling together an exhaustion switch axe build, there are three main pieces to this puzzle. We want to have Stamina Thief up at 5, we want to have Slugger at 3, and then of course, you're going to need an exhaustion switch axe, the two choices of which are the Great Jagras switch axe or the Brute Tigrex switch axe. Now, if you've never seen an exhaustion switch axe before, the main way this works is by getting your sword charged up and then dealing exhaust damage. I'm going to do that into a discharge buildup, and then into a claw combo. Now, with the sword charge, the most interesting thing about this is going to be our sharpness. Take a note how as we're doing a clutch claw discharge, we don't lose any sharpness. And what makes this so ridiculous is essentially you're able to get off roughly 4 to 5 of these as long as you are consistently staying on the monster. You can just keep spamming this, you're maintaining purple sharpness, and every time you do that, you are generating a buttload of exhaust and stun damage into the monster. Now, to talk about the stun damage, exhaust in general is that blue stuff you see coming off of the sword. In general, it's more common with things like hunting horn builds. And you can kind of see it just with our regular attacks. And what exhaust does is it makes the monster tired. Eventually, it's gonna, be kind of on the ground, drooling from the mouth. It's not gonna want to fight back. However, exhaust damage that is dealt up to the head is also considered stun damage, which is why Slugger works so well with this build. So to pull it on off, as I mentioned, you're going to ideally want the Brute Tigrex Switch Axe. Now, this has a 980 base attack, which is pretty respectable. If you remember, that's the same damage as the final boss Switch Axe. So you're getting some pretty respectable damage here. We also have purple sharpness on it. We have a single deco slot, but we have negative 30 affinity. Now, until you get access to Brute Tigrex, because obviously he's pretty late game, the alternative is going to be the Saber's Bite. This is actually the Jagras Switch Axe. It doesn't get purple sharpness, it has less damage, but we have 2 level 3 deco slots. And since our job here is mainly going to be KOs, and this is more of a support-oriented build, it's honestly not a bad choice all around to run with. Now, to help get us the purple sharpness, of course, Handicraft Charm is picked on up. And then as for the gear, the 3 pieces that are really going to make this work to give you the Devil Joe essence of Stamina Thief Secret are going to be the Assurient Mail, the Vambraces, and the Falds. These 2 pieces will give you the Stamina Thief that you need, and we get some Speed Eating as well as a 4-2-2 on the Mail. As for the head, my standard go-to choices, Zora Headgear Beta and Garuga Greaves Beta for the slots they offer, as well as Trip Prevention and 2 points in Crit Eye. Now, when you pull all of this together, you drop a Drain Jewel up in your weapon, and that's going to put you up to Stamina Thief 5. You're going to want to work in some Expert to get up to Critical Eye 7, and that's mainly just to help cancel out your negative crit. Even though this isn't a damage-oriented build, Tenderizer is still going to be a huge DPS increase, especially because we're constantly focused on the face, and then because this is actually considered an Elementalist Switch Axe, we can run non-elemental boost as well. Now, your final 3 slots are really going to be up to you. If you want to work more damage in, you could, of course, go for crit boost here. You could work in, peak performance. You could work in some agitator. But personally, I found that I really liked Slugger. In doing some tests, I was getting faster kills using crit boost, but Slugger just gave that many more KOs. Just to put it in perspective, in the tests I was doing, when I was running crit boost, while I did finish my hunt roughly 30 seconds faster, when I was adding the level 3 Slugger in, the monster literally could not run. It was perpetually on the ground, unable to get up and escape, which is ultimately what made me decide to go for Slugger, because that's just freaking hilarious. So, aside from the gear, the one thing I really want to touch on is going to be that charge combo you did at the start. Well, that I did at the start. So the main way to do this is from your axe mode, you're going to want to morph, and then you're going to do a discharge. You're going to start tapping your triangle or your Y button. And then, as you can see, hitting the left trigger to jump onto the monster right when the bar is around the 80% mark. That final thrust will fill you on up, giving you your sword gauge. Now, aside from that, obviously you could do the old-fashioned way of charging, which is just going to be a double slash into a Heaven Ward flurry. But all in all, the Clutch Claw method is a lot more efficient, especially if the monster is currently down and unable to move. So either way, let's jump into a hunt, show you what this thing is capable of. I've been running this at MR 100+, knocking out monsters as kind of an alternative to the sticky KO build. And all in all, it's pretty freaking ridiculous. So let's show you what this can do. Now, for our hunt, we're going to be going after a Bombaro. Now, Bombaro isn't the most deadly target, not by far. He's a starter monster. He's still a huge lad, and therefore a great representation of just how much exhaustion we're going to be able to put into a monster. Now, to get this started, you are going to want to run a Rocksteady Mantle. Now, Rocksteady is generally a risky play, especially in Master Rank, but here I would consider it almost a necessity. So, first things first, go on and make your weak point. Now we're going to just launch. This is exactly why you want that Rocksteady, because you want to be able to get a weak point and a launch. And now is when the party starts. Latch on and start making them exhausted. Like I said, this is very much a almost support style build. It's almost a meme build the way we're doing this. All right. So after our first round, now I generally like to go for a mount. Oh, there we go. Looks like Calico Paralysis has got me covered. Round 2. Put that on. Top our health off. One of the great things about this is obviously, we're able to launch monsters into walls, but we can't do that if they're enraged. And all of the exhaustion you're doing here will take the monster out of their enraged state so that you can get more wall bounces. So essentially, you're just like exhausting into a bounce, exhausting into a bounce, exhausting into a bounce. What did I tell you about getting angry and yelling? Oh, never mind, you're already skulled. Well, shit. In that case, here you go, buddy. I mean, as much as we abuse this thing, it would be wrong to kill it at this point, you know? And that's it, you know? That's all there really is to it. And obviously, as you guys saw, didn't really have to do much. I pretty much wall bounced, exhausted his face, and then wall bounced and exhausted his face. And given this is single player, you know, you're not going to see that many consecutive exhaustions over and over again if you're playing with multiplayer. It still works just as well in multiplayer in the aspect that monsters are going to constantly be just like, fuck, please stop, I don't want this anymore. So all in all, definitely a very fun take on the switch axe, in my opinion. You know, kind of a little bit deviating from what we would typically expect in terms of just max deeps and whatnot. But yeah. So moving on from here, I don't have any other just like outright builds necessarily. I have like an impact charge build that I've been playing with that I might upload. But more than likely, what I'm going to do is a set of update videos for the builds that I've already put out, showing what they look like at master rank. So more than likely, I'll cover like 2 builds per video. And as opposed to showing hunts with what a stronger version of the build looks like, I'll just go through the build and the gear and, you know, what I have been running. Just to kind of keep you guys updated on stuff. So either way, thanks for coming on by. I'll have some of the MR100 updates to you guys either tomorrow or the day after. And other than that, I'll catch you guys next time with more Monster Hunter World Iceborne.